All right, great to be back together again. We're on our second installment for the movie Nefarious, and we stopped before. If you're watching at home someplace, sometime we're at about 25 minutes in. This is right about the time when the psychologist or psychiatrist opens himself up as a host. So if you're watching, that's where we stopped. We're going to go for another 25 minutes tonight. So I guess we're going to be up to the warden talking outside, having a little chat outside of the room. One of the only times you see outside of the room. So we're going to jump right into it. If you're going to go watch it right now, come on back. We'll see you in a minute. Okay, so we're back from Jimmy and the Lord and having a chat. Okay, where do we start with this?
If you kill the man, do you kill the demon?
No,
he doesn't die.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yep.
Human is just a host, it seems like.
Yeah.
You can jump from person to person then.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And according to him, has been since before creation.
Yep.
Beginning of creation.
Yep. Yep. So remember when Jesus casts the demons out, he casts the demons out.
But he doesn't destroy them.
Doesn't destroy them.
They go on to somebody else who's weak enough or vulnerable enough to receive them, I guess.
And the destruction will come. I mean, that's in the book of Revelation, right? But it's just not before then. That's the thing. What's made is made. It's not unmade before its time. So the time for the unmaking of things is at the end. So the demons then are unmade.
There, like infinite, or I mean,
what was that?
How many demons do we think there are?
No way to know. Yeah, but certainly a lot. So I would say, it's not an infinite number, but I would think at least 9.
At least 9, like 9 million,
Yeah.
9 billion. I mean, I have no idea.
Yeah,
I guess we don't.
I think the assumption is more than we could count, or wouldn't make any difference to us. Just too many.
So they just go to more people.
Yeah.
They don't die. What about when they cast the demons into the pigs and they went over the cliff?
Yeah, that's a great one. So the way that these exorcisms is understood to a degree is that there are, so Dante talked about the different levels of hell, and they're metaphorical to a certain degree, but they are loosely based on an understanding of the depths of hell that we find in Scripture. So when the demons say that they don't want to go back to where they were, say, don't send us back. Don't send us back. It means that where they're going to go is a bad place, even for them. And they don't want to go there. They plead, they beg with them. Don't send us there. Maybe it's that one way of looking at that was that the demons had a job to do in their possession of the man, and they're about to fail because they're going to get cast out. They made themselves too noticeable. And so God took that notice and made that journey and is going to cast them out. So their mission is about to come to a failure, to a too early of an end. And so they know that they're going to get punished, and they're going to be sent. When they're sent back, they're going to be sent to a part of hell that's really bad. And so they beg him not to send them to that place. And so he says, okay, go, you got to go some, but apparently they can't take their time with looking. So they go into the pigs, and pigs can't take it. Pigs aren't humans. So the pigs kill themselves. They went off a cliff. And with no host, then the demons get sent to where they didn't want to go in the first place.
Yeah.
It gives us an idea, though, that even demons can get punished. Hence, we hear that same understanding of discipline in screw tape letters, right? Where screw tape is constantly, remember the secret police? And the pain that Wormwood's going to be in if he does a bad job. So, yeah, they don't necessarily go from where they are. Like when the Jesus cast the demon out of the young boy, he doesn't necessarily go to another person. It may be that the demon has to go back to hell before they can come back. That it's not a one for one. And there are demons in hell. They're not all here. They're doing what they do. So, you know, one's too many, but it's not
Well,
all.
probably isn't there some thought that demons like to be in hell, like they don't want to be in heaven.
Yeah.
Wouldn't they rather be in hell than in heaven?
Yeah, it's a great, demonology is a really interesting study. It goes back to like Nefarious here. It's trying to understand what would make a demon happy. And so you might imagine that anything involved, of course, according to this and what we know in Scripture, anything that would make human beings unhappy or hurt God would make a demon happy. That's all they have to live for. And remember that just like screw tape letters, because Lewis hit this right on the head, they think they're right.
Just
Yeah,
seems so dumb. I don't know. It just seems.
It's the grand lie. It's the idea that they actually have the upper hand. What they're doing is the right thing to do. Listen to the logic that Nefarious had when he talked about his theological perspective for creation, right? So God created all the angels before he created everything else. They knew who God was, and that they had will, they had free will. And so in their free will, they said, we will you not. We don't want you. And they got punished, kicked out of heaven, according to some, voluntarily left, according to others. They think that they've been wronged, that they have been given free will, and so they used it, and they should have been applauded. And instead of that, they got punished. So by using free will now and being punished, that's an injustice. God is an unjust God. God's a tyrant and an abuser, a slave master. So in their minds, they are correct. What they're doing is good. And people, us, in that perspective, we are just cattle. We're just meat. We're nothing more. We're exactly like you said, we're a means to an end. They have absolutely no reason to do us any harm. None. What are we? Except that in doing us harm would hurt God, because God has a plan for us and they are messing the plan up. So they don't think they're wrong. They think they're right. That's probably the saddest part of it. But then we see that in our own world a lot, don't we?
Yep.
People all over, and from individuals to communities that wind up getting themselves into a place of abuse for one reason or another, and then instead of accepting responsibility for their causing the reaction, lash out against the person who disciplined them and become self-righteous and say, it's their fault and I'm the good guy and they're the bad guy. It's a delusional state that there's no way to fix it. I mean, think about it this way. So Satan knows what's going to happen. It's written. God wrote it, right? The book of Revelation. Gave the revelation to John, said this is the way it's going to happen. Well, Satan can read. But Satan is still under the delusion that he can change the end. That he can do whatever he's going to do to the point where that won't be the end. That he's going to win. which makes no sense whatsoever. But so for a purpose, for living into a future that he believes is going to happen, he's still blind to that future by what he's doing in the present. Yeah, he's the image of Satan or a demon is that their self-will is so self-focused. I mean, talking about the ultimate narcissist, so self-focused on what they want, they desire, they want to do, that they can't. All futures from that moment are colored by this moment, and that's all they can see. No, it's really
And
one-dimensional.
demons can see into the future. Like in this movie, it certainly seems like he can see what's happening in the future.
Yeah, it's a dual. There's a dual proposal that's being made here. So you've got a possible well, just like any one of us, like when you're going to go downstairs, you tell me when we were going downstairs in the parish hall, we're going to go to have a celebration, Shrub Tuesday, get something to eat and then hang out for a little while. And before we go down there upstairs before the service, you say that you're feeling really guilty about somebody that you were going to visit today, but you didn't visit them. And it's bothering you. And so I can make a prediction of what the future is going to be. It's either going to be, you're going to be downstairs or you're not. It's easy. So I don't know which one it's going to be though. You may leave, but you may not leave. But I want you to stay, and I don't want you to go. So between the service and then going downstairs, when I get a chance to talk on the landing or down the steps, or when you come downstairs you're going to be down there for 10 minutes visiting before you leave, or if you're going to leave, I would try to help you understand that guilt isn't the place to put your energy. That it may be actually too late from what you've told me to go see this person. So seeing them tomorrow would be a great thing, but leaving early wouldn't help you. So relieving your guilt and helping you stay that influence keeps you there, and I've made a possible future become the future. So a demon who can see that this is the possible future event that's taking place just worked really hard to make it happen. Like, he wasn't going to call his girlfriend. He didn't think about it. So did the demon see the future? No. He just planted that in his head so thoroughly and played upon his emotions so completely that he pushed him to a place where he knew there's one of two options. He's going to do it or not. He just pushed him into the one of doing it. The other one, the third person that he's going to kill, that idea, that's based on what the knowledge that's already happened. The knowledge that's already happened is the mother's dead. That's all history. The abortion's about to take place, so that's really history already. And the third person that's involved in this, whoever it's going to be, is contingent upon James opening himself up and saying, take me, and he already did that. So there is an assured future there. There's only one event of those three that's a future event. All the other two already happened. Yep. So the same, if they communicate like they do in Screwtape Letters, then the demon that's working on the girlfriend is communicating with him, who's working on James. So he knows what's going on over there. He's not seeing over there. He's not omnipotent. He's not there. He can't be there. He's not omnipresent. But he's in communication, so he knows what's happening. Like a telephone, spiritual telephone. He's getting all the news. So he can influence the movement of everybody in that way. We do, like I say, we do the same thing.
The demons can. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Catherine.
Couldn't see him signing the papers to kill the inmate, even when he thinks or knows that he's not capable. He didn't do, or maybe he'll think he didn't do the crime.
Say that beginning again.
I said the third murder could be him signing the papers to kill the inmate. I mean,
Right. Yeah, saying, letting him go to the chair. Yep. Or somebody else. Never know.
Well, you've not seen it, so apparently that's not it.
You never know. No. It's all a very, I mean, the way the demon explained their existence was spot on. It was, just right. Like I said, well, I'll use small words. I mean, the outline was perfect. There was nothing off mark with that as far as the biblical witnesses and the way we understand creation and demons. There is a twist to it though, because he says God made us to exercise free will, and we did, and then we got punished. Because the intention, every parent wants this, don't we? We have a child and we teach them the right thing, the good thing, positive thing, the hopeful thing, the thing that we hope for and we desire. We're teaching it, whatever that's going to be, morality, honesty, integrity, and we're teaching that and we're showing it to the child. And so it is our intention in teaching and showing and loving that the child makes that choice, becomes the honorable person, does the honorable thing, becomes the honest person, the loving person, the caring person, the gentle person. Then they don't. They don't. They choose no. They choose something else. None of the above. So this is not to say to a parent and say, well, when the child does this thing and they lash out at me and they're angry at me and they're revolting at everything I'm doing, and then they ask me to approve of what they're doing, to say it's okay, these terrible things that you're doing right now, that's great, just terrific, because that's your free will. I'm not going to say yes. Why would I do that? That'd be crazy. I've been teaching them to do the opposite thing. So when they use their free will to do that, I'm not going to go, yes, that's wonderful, come to me and I'm going to give you money and a car because you're doing such a great job. I'm going to say no. And they're going to take that as being punished, being rejected, because they're doing what they want to do. And I'm not approving. I'm punishing them because they're doing what they want to do. But what they're doing is not what they should be doing. So God created the angels and us to do what, to be who we are in our nature by choice. God says, you are good, you are beautiful, you are loving, you are kind, you're gentle, you're special, you are unique. And I want you to know all of those things. And I did this for you because I love you. And I'll always love you, and you're mine, and you'll always be mine, and I love you. And I want you to know these things and to live this way because you know these things. How else could you live? If we knew these things and we really believed they were true, how could we live any other way? Then you don't. We're not getting punished by God for using our free will. We're getting punished because we're choosing the wrong thing. God's not going to agree with us any more than we would agree with our child. And if there is a punishment to that, if it's self isolation, right? I'm the child and I do something that my parents tell me not to do, because they'll never say, don't ever go do this, because they would never think I was going to do it, because they've taught me all the way along not to do stuff like that. And then when I finally do it, the parents, they act, disappointed, and they act offended, and they act confused. And every once in a while they try to talk to me about it, like I was wrong, which puts them in a whole other bag. So I'm automatically saying my parents are a bunch of hypocrites. They don't like me. They don't love me. They don't care about me because they're being mean to me. They disagree with what I'm doing. And I leave. I don't want to see them. I don't want to talk to them. So it's a self-exile, but I blame it on them. I say it's their fault. They're this way. They're, whatever they are. But it's not them. It's me. But I can't see it. That's part of the delusion. That's our part. Usually it's a part when you're young, but it doesn't have to be, you don't have to all be young. You've got a lot of older delusional people hanging around. So it is a definite, does this not sound like adolescence? It's a delusional growth state. So what do we all say as parents? When our kids go through, we just like, oh, it's that terrible adolescent period. So when they get into their 20s, like, oh my gosh, they grew a brain somewhere along in that 8-year period and they came back and everything's good. So we say that because what they're doing, everybody knows that's a bad period. Everybody knows it's wrong because they don't have a clear understanding of the world. They've lost it. And we're not going to go to them and say, yes, your understanding of the world is great. It's not. Their exile is self-imposed. The demon's exile is self-imposed. This is why, if you remember again in Screwtape Letters, one of the later letters, I think it's around 28, Screwtape says that if we could only find out what this whole mystery is, this lie or the secret about love, if we could, then we would re-inhabit heaven, because that's what God said. But the demon's taking it as if we understood the secret, we could conquer heaven and make it our own. But what God is saying is, if you understood love, then you would come back to me and I would take you back and you'd be back in heaven. Not as this thing that you are right now, but as that which you were meant to be. It's a very, sublime and sad state of being for us, for those who are caught up in that way of life, and for the demons, for the angels. It's very sad. Let's see. Smart people have a hard time believing what everybody already knows. So there are a whole lot of universities that have signs that say stuff like that in the positive form above doors and chiseled into stonework on the walls. That, enlightenment, becoming smart, becoming knowledgeable. It's that old thing that says, the more I learn, the less I know. I can't, when I lived on a farm on the side of a mountain in Appalachia, and I had a 4th grade education, and the only thing I do is, basically live day to day, hunting and planting crops and hanging out on my porch, playing the mouth harp. Don't mean to be a little cliche there, but this life's simple. Life is really simple. I got like 8 yeses and 8 notes, and that's it. But when I leave there and I start getting into universities and I start doing stuff, then I was talking about ethics and morals and philosophy and all this different stuff that I've got to juggle around and come to an agreement with. And so a lot of people get into that place. They go into church, they go into a university with a strong faith, and they come out of it agnostic. Because really what happens is they go in there and they come back out and say, I don't know. As much as I learn, the more I learn, the more I don't know. So I learned all this stuff in there, and I can't make a commitment. I can't. I've lost it. So you have kids go to school as a Christian, they come back as an agnostic, if that. And again, they think they're right. They say, okay, I'm right. Because the confusion is between faith and thought. And the universities don't encourage faith. They only encourage thought. And in fact, a lot of universities will actually pit thought against faith and say, you can't. They'll tell the students, you cannot maintain that archaic, ridiculous perspective of the world hidden behind faith if you have learned something in my class or learned something with your degree. So for me, as a young person growing up, for me to show that I'm smart, to show that I learned, to show that I've made it, I can't believe anymore. I can't. It's just antithetical. So this is a great line that he uses, especially to Jimmy, who has got his PhD and doesn't believe in anything. Right? He's an atheist. There's nothing out there. Nothing. If I can't understand it in my head right now, it doesn't exist. That's just the bottom line. Really sad. Let's see. Nefarious, James, Martin, Rector, Fisher. I know we have to go.
Alan had something to say earlier.
Alan?
What did you have? What were you going to ask?
I don't remember.
So sorry. That's right. You were talking with Catherine. You both wanted to go. I'm so sorry. So here's something to remember, that Satan's methodology is to have plans within plans within plans within plans within plans, like an onion. You know, there's always more. You peel it, there's always more. You peel it. Here's one of the mistakes that people make. Everybody makes this mistake. The part of being human is making this mistake. We see the Satan's action, right? We see Satan's action, and we have a response, and we say, "Ha! We know what he was doing. We saw what Satan was trying to do, and we're not going to do it." Right? So, you know, pick something that you, as a person of faith, you could label, you could name. You know, something bad happens, and you see this bad thing happening, and you see that it doesn't make any sense. And so, as a person of faith, you can look at this and say, well, obviously, this is an evil thing. This is we'll talk about evil and sin next week. This is an evil thing that's going on here. And you know, they want this to spread. They want this to become, you know, infect everybody. Well, I'm not going to do it. I recognize that what's happening over there, and I'm not going to do it. Okay, good for you. But that's not the end. That's the problem. This is the mistake. We think that because we saw that happening and we made a decision not to be a part of that, that it no longer has an effect on us. But of course it does, because Satan's plan isn't just to do that thing for us to have a reaction to that thing. Satan's plan is for us to have a reaction to that thing and then act on it. And the action that we take next is based on that. And the action that they take next is based on that. It's like that, you know, what is it, five levels of separation? It just goes on and on and on. So eventually you have all these plans are overlapping. They're all coming together. This is why you have people who have road rage running into people with road rage. Right? I get this guy really ticked, and I get this guy really ticked, because they're going to be like this in a few minutes. Well, if we got this guy, they're really ticked, and this guy isn't ticked, nothing's going to happen. So there's more than one. There's more than one. There's dozens. Remember Mission Impossible, either the TV show or the movie? I love that show with Peter. What's his name? Peter Graves. Peter Graves. That's right. So the premise behind that is I get the guy the mark to believe he's figured out what I'm doing. And then he's all happy. He figures it out and he acts on it. And he's like, oh, I won. But what he can't see is the huge other plan that's going on behind it. That's going to do something completely different. Usually take the guy out. That's Satan. That's the acts of a demon. It's the easy thing is what we see. It's simple. What we cannot forget is that there's something bigger going on behind it every time, all the time. There's never the one thing. Always a pantheon of things going on. This is why we say as Christians, I have to wake up in the morning and pray, and then pray all day. Because at every moment, at every movement, at every interaction, I'm going to be a part of that plan. The broader plan that's taking place from you and you and you and you and me are all going to come together every time something happens. And I can't defend myself against it because I can see it. But Jesus said, you don't have to defend yourself against that because I can see it. I will protect you. I will keep you safe. I will watch out for the bigger plans that are going on that would have taken you out a long time ago if I wasn't with you. And I will handle that. So we want to put ourselves deeper and deeper into his arms, deeper and deeper into his companionship, give ourselves over and over to the Holy Spirit to say, yeah, you know, I don't know what's going on, but I want to be next to you because I know it is. You know, think about any time at all that you were any place. I mean, it could have been young when you were at camp, or it could have been when you were an adult and something happened, and you were in a place where you were afraid. You knew this was not a good place, a dangerous place. Something bad could happen here, or at least you thought something bad could happen here. And so what you did was you wound up hanging out next to the director, to the camp guy, you know, to the older person, to the one in charge. You just were there. You just stood by him because that was the safest place to be. This is what God's plan for us is to say, if you live in a state of knowing that this network of plans is always affecting you, always accosting you, attacking you, then you're going to want to be close to me because I'm the one that can protect you from that. And with us knowing it, we will be close to him. The benefit to us or the joy of this is that unlike being next to the camp guy who's gonna go have dinner when we go have our dinner, he's gonna go and we're gonna be all alone again, that the closer we get to Christ, the more the deeper and the more consistent that relationship is, and the more we know it. So there's no fear involved. But fear brought me to that moment, but fear doesn't keep me there. This is the sad part, and I'll stop after this. This is the sad reality when Christians, a lot of Christians, when I was a chaplain, I saw this all the time, wind up in the hospital with life-threatening events taking place. And they're scared to life. They're just scared, right? They're afraid because when they're in their lifetime, their way of living their life is that when they have had an event that's been frightening or disturbing to them, they've run to the camp guy. They've run to Jesus. But when the event's over,
Yeah.
they've left. So here's another big event, and they're running to the camp guy. But it's bigger. It's a bigger event. And now just running to the camp guy won't do it. Jesus says that you'll never get, and I saw this too, people that came in the hospital that were, strong Christians, strong people of faith that had a strong, active life, that were coming to their deathbed, and they weren't afraid because they'd been with the camp guy all along. They didn't have to fear. They didn't have to run to him. They didn't have a question. They weren't happy about it. They had a lot to do. They'd talk about it. I wanted to do this. I wanted to do that. I helped a lot of people write letters to family members they hadn't seen. I helped a guy work with a wood project for a family member. Like, it was kind of fun. Things that they wanted to do because they just wanted to get it done. So it was done, but they weren't afraid. They were sad that they couldn't do more, but that was about it. So that's the life that God wants for us, to have that perspective because of this thing that's going on. Never lose track of this thing that's going on. If we always know that this thing's going on, we'll always go to the camp guy. So instead of waiting, let's just go now and stay there. All right, we do have to stop. There's so much more that we were talking about. Euthanasia is in there. That jumped up. The abortion issue came up. Revolt, rebellion, all of those words that came up. Humans were an afterthought. That warrants a little bit of talking about. The response of the guard when he asked for the cheeseburger, whatever it was, that warrants a little bit of talking about. Oh, and the last thing, I guess, we're saying crazy doesn't know it's crazy. People are crazy, don't know they're crazy. This is the way it is. And that goes for us too. We have opinions and ideas and perspectives of the world, and we think that they're all right. And we think that because we can't think anything else. So knowing that crazy doesn't know it's crazy should, just like this with the camp guy, should extend to us in our place, saying, I can't be right about everything. It's my idea and I think about it and I think this is right, but I can't be. It's impossible. I can't be. So that leaves open, if not a change of heart and mind, it leaves open the ability to talk, to discuss things, to hear a difference of opinion and ideas, not because I'm placating or because I want to shoot a hole in everybody else's thing, but because knowing that I don't know everything predetermines the fact that the other person will tell me something I don't know. Flat out. It's impossible that they won't. So living this way, saying that I know that, is a humble way of seeing the world and invites community, invites pluralistic sharing, not changing, just sharing. Sharing is not going to kill us. Sharing is what we're taught to be as kids. That's one of our great held up as our great ways of being as a community, is share. And it doesn't make any sense that we treat our children that with their toys and their time, and then we get to be adults where we don't have toys and time, we have ideas and beliefs, but we're not willing to share. So we're really not doing what we've been trying to teach our kids and grandkids and everybody else from the time that we started. Yeah. All right, guys, that was fun. Woohoo! Let's I'm gonna pick it up next week. We can pick out some of these little pieces along here. I know by then Alan will remember what he was gonna say. We'll take on
Probably
that.
not.
We'll take
Probably
on that
not,
one
but
too.
it's always possible.
if you guys do, I've said this before, but when we do other things, if you do along the week, if something pops into your head about something you've seen, just like, that happens now and then, something comes up tomorrow or afternoon when you're having lunch, write it down and bring it back to us when we start up again next week. Okay? Say goodnight to Sharon for us.
Okay,
All right? All right, guys. God bless you all. Have a great night.
thank you.
Be safe.
Be safe. Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye, Mom.
Talk to you tomorrow night, huh?
Yes.